Hello and welcome to the Data Career Academy podcast. This is a show dedicated to closing the information gap between data job seekers and hiring authorities about the challenging data analytics job market. My name is Albert Bellamy. I'm the host of the show, and it's my goal to highlight aspiring data analysts and their abilities in order to get them hired, to spotlight recent hires and how they successfully navigated the hiring process, as well as to find out from real industry experts what the job market looks like from the hiring side and how all of that can benefit you, the listener. So let's get into today's episode. Okay, welcome to the show, Samantha Fitzsimmons. Wonderful that we managed to connect on this and get you in here. For the people at home, Samantha is a job seeker. She is, I've been connected with her for a little while because she is a fellow Alteryx aficionado, so near and dear to my heart. She recently wrapped up a kind of a short-term gig and is new to the job market. So she's got all of the latest and greatest information to share with us. Samantha, please tell us about yourself.
Yes. So as you said, I'm Samantha. I have experience with Alteryx, but I also have a lot of experience with Tableau. I would say Tableau is really near and dear to my heart. I think it's a tool that I kind of fell in love with at the beginning of my data journey. Um, I I guess you could say I started my data journey towards the end of 2023 when I started a career data immersion boot camp through Career Foundry.
Oh, awesome.
And yeah, and I think they started us out with Excel, and then I think we moved on to SQL. Then I think we used the data that we kind of analyzed in SQL into we moved that into Tableau, and then at the end we worked with Python. So it was a pretty comprehensive data immersion course. It was all online, but I remember they paired me up with a mentor, and
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
yeah, they paired with a mentor and a tutor, and but the mentor was someone that you would schedule calls with, I think, to talk more about big picture stuff. If you had questions
Yeah.
about the curriculum, you'd contact the tutor. And the mentor said, like, and immediately when I showed him one of my final projects, he said that I should really consider becoming a Tableau developer. So that was something that was really encouraging. And so I was doing that data immersion boot camp while I was a speech pathologist. So those are two incredibly different things that were
Yes.
going on simultaneously.
You are the first speech pathologist we've had on the podcast.
Yeah,
We're breaking
I'm
new ground all over the place.
yes, yes. So I came from one end of, I guess you could say, you could kind of look at it as I came from one end of the spectrum to the other in some ways. I think one commonality between the two careers is that there's a lot of in a way data collection and analysis that you have to
Okay.
do in both. And so as I went through my career, which I was a speech pathologist for 14 years, I really realized that the thing that I liked the most was collecting data and then
Okay.
analyzing it and then either writing it in a report or for a doctor or um, really explaining that to the patients that I was working with about why they should care about that data in the first place and what they can use to help them meet their communication goals or their cognitive goals and different things to help their lives get better or help them recover from, some kind of injury or some kind of thing that they've gone through. So that's what I sort of found in like that were both common between the two fields. So yeah, in 2023, I dropped to part-time work. I was really fortunate to be able to do that. And so I was working part-time and I
Hmm.
was pursuing
You
um,
dropped to part-time work as a speech
mhm,
pathologist.
I
Okay.
was, yeah.
And that was it. Was that after the boot camp or was that while you were still working through it?
Well, I was still doing the boot camp.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So that was it was great. It really allowed me to focus because I did actually try to do it full time. And there are people who will self-study and work full time, and I give them all the credit in the world. And but I was able to drop to part time, which I think really helped me focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If you got the means to do it, that is
Yes.
the way to go for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so super cool that, and I love all of the sort of unique perspectives. I'm curious, was there any instinct to stay in the healthcare domain? I see that you didn't.
Yeah.
Was that an instinct, or was that something people tend to get kind of very visceral reactions to the domain that they've been in? They're either like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is my passion. I want to do this forever," or "Get me the heck away from this thing." Was it was it one of those for you? Was that an option for you?
I think initially it was I really wanted to get away from healthcare.
Hmm.
But then I realized that, this is the domain that I know, and I have an
Okay.
insight that a lot of people don't have, especially if they only have a data background. Even if they've worked in with healthcare data, I have just a different experience. And so, yeah, I think healthcare is definitely a domain that I want to continue in terms of data analytics. Um, but I'm a very open-minded person. And so I'm also open to other domains. And so that's why I have been able to work with other types of data that maybe isn't healthcare. So that's, the where I was previously wasn't healthcare data, and previous to that it wasn't really a lot of healthcare data. So I'm definitely open to it, but it's not a requirement.
Okay. My spidey sense goes off when you say that because I immediately think unfocused. So do you have
Oh,
a
okay.
domain that you're aiming for?
Yes, healthcare. Yeah.
Okay,
I would say
good.
at least 90% of my jobs that I'm applying for are healthcare.
Okay.
Other thing that I am looking into are also call center related positions, because in my
Ooh, okay.
previous role, I did work with some call center data. So I feel like I learned a lot there, and I have a really specific understanding of that. So that's something else that I'm also looking into. And I
I don't
suppose
think I've ever considered that as a domain. That's fascinating. Okay.
I mean, it's not very common, I've learned, but I feel
Yep.
like in the jobs that I have been able to apply for, I feel like um, I can really tailor my resume in a way that really is very directed towards that.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's another domain that I'm interested in, but it doesn't come up very often.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've ever heard of that as being a specific thing, but I suppose it makes sense. I mean, the data
Yeah.
would be quite unique in that. Okay. So I would imagine you seem like just just first impression, you seem like a very organized person.
Yes.
And so I would imagine that you have a pretty regimented approach to your job search. Tell us about, how are you organizing this? What do you get up in the morning? What's your plan for the day?
My plan for the day is I usually go through LinkedIn and try to find roles that I'm interested in applying to, or maybe ones that I've already saved.
Hmm.
But I really try to apply for roles as soon as I can. That's not always the case, but that's kind of where I start. I try to find a role that I am interested in. And then, I think more recently, what I've been doing is I have been reading the job descriptions and then really thinking about um, can I tailor a current resume that I have in a way where I'm using the phrasing from the job description, or
Hmm.
I'm still obviously being truthful, but also showing them the skills that I have and how they can be transferable to that particular role. So, that's kind of the next question that I'll ask myself. And then once I decide what kind of job, or what the job that I'm going to apply to, I actually have a really detailed chat GPT prompt that I use to help me kind of work through the job. So I'll give it the job description, like the link for that. I will either give it the link to the company's culture or mission statement or something, or if I can't find it,
Awesome.
have chat GPT find it.
Yeah.
Then I'm trying to think, but what would be the next thing that I do? I actually think I make it tell me all of the keywords and phrases that seem to come up a lot in the job description, so that we can kind of look. I make it a very collaborative thing with ChatGPT. So it gives
Yeah.
me all of that. And then we
Got to be
talk.
friends with the robot overlords. I
Yeah,
mean,
yes,
don't be mean to
exactly.
them.
Exactly. So then we talk about the things that I want to highlight, things that I actually feel like, because maybe not everything in the job description is something that am familiar with. So we talk about that. And then oh, and then I actually have another like question that I make it ask me, or is there anything that you don't understand? Because there might be phrasing that I'm not familiar with. So I kind
Yeah.
of just ask it and then have it explain that to me.
Hmm.
And then once I feel like I've ironed out all of those things, then I give it a version of a resume that I think could kind of go with it. And sometimes I'll have it give me rephrased bullet points to go that might go with the job description, but more recently I've been kind of doing it myself and then sort of running it past Chat GPT for another perspective.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so either way, and then once I get through that, I make it very organized where I'm like, tell me the bullet point, the original one that I have, and then your version. So
Yeah.
I can compare it. And then if I like it, I'll put it into a new version of a resume. And if I don't like it, I just skip it. But then once I'm done with the resume, then we go over the cover letter and I talk about what I want to include in the cover letter, what I want to highlight.
Okay. Fan of cover letters?
No, I don't like
Oh,
them.
okay.
I just feel obligated to do one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not a fan of cover letters. That's why I ask.
yeah, I can't stand them, but
Okay.
I feel obligated to do them. So
It seems like I can't get through a podcast episode without someone running completely contrary to some piece of advice that I've given forever. So
okay.
I'm always my curiosity is always piqued when somebody says I do X and X is something that I tell all of my clients like never ever do that. I don't rail against cover letters. I just don't like vast majority of the time I don't see a need for them. So anytime someone says I do this, I just want to know why. Okay. So
Yeah, no, that's a
are
fair
you seeing
question.
those required out there? That's curious.
I mean, I think it'll say it'll give you the option to upload it. Sometimes it'll be
Mm,
separate. And then there are times that it just says resume, but I still feel obligated to include a cover letter. So I'll just make it
mm.
the second page of the document in case the person wants to look at it. I
Okay.
I
Has
don't
that been working?
I have no idea. I
Okay.
don't know.
So no response from those for the most part.
No,
Okay.
I just include a cover letter because I feel like I have to.
How are you tracking your efforts?
Like in terms of successes and things like that
Yeah.
or responses. Um, honestly, I guess maybe that is something that I've been thinking about. You would think, I'm a data analyst, you think I would be tracking those things. But
I figure you'll be analytical in all things.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think honestly, I've I wrapped up my previous role middle of July. I guess it has been a month.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. I think I've just been focused mostly on just what I use to apply and then saving the job description so I have it to refer to for if I have a job interview.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I guess I haven't really been tracking those sorts of things, but
Okay.
I guess that would probably be a good idea.
So are you seeing a response? Have you gotten
I've
callbacks or
gotten
interviews?
I've
Okay.
gotten responses. I don't know if there's really any difference in using a cover letter or not, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Just in general to applications, getting
Oh,
responses?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say your hit rate is?
In terms of getting an interview
Yeah, like what
or
percent of applications do
oh
you
my
get
gosh.
some kind of legitimate response, not,
Like an
bot or
automated
creeper
response.
stuff or anything? Yeah, like
Okay. Um, I would say I haven't quantified it, but I'd say it's pretty low. Um, so
what's low
yeah,
to you?
like single digits, like
Oh,
low.
well, I mean, like
Yeah.
systemically, that's to be expected.
Okay.
Competitive resumes, you're looking at probably a 5% rate of return on applications is pretty darn good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you're in single digits, you're still fine. If it's,
Okay,
if
that's a
it's like,
relief.
1%, that would be a concern. But but it sounds like you're doing a tailored approach. So you
Yes.
can certainly expect, and you've got experience and a pretty good skill set. So you should definitely expect that you're going to get a decent rate of return.
Yes.
Um, okay. So how far, you said it's only been a month.
Hmm.
How far are you getting in these? Have you gotten to interview phase in some of these application process?
I am in an interview phase. I have one
Awesome.
tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's I hope and it's a second round interview, so hopefully that will turn
Oh,
out.
excellent.
Yeah, yeah. I think the strength of one of my strengths is once I get my foot in the door, I can sit there and I can talk to you about myself and I'm personable and I think I can
You
in
mean
that
foot in the door like you're physically in an
in
interview?
an interview. Yeah, I
Okay.
think I do pretty well. Even if, they don't hire me, I think I can still get through an interview where I walk out with my dignity. So that's sort of that's how I gauge success because
Yeah.
you don't know who you're up against and what other skills people are bringing to the table. So, but yeah, I think once I start interviewing with someone, I feel like I make a good impression.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first interview, any any interesting questions? Anything that kind of threw you for a loop?
I had an interview last week and they asked me, what annoys you? I don't know if it was what annoys you about people you
Ooh,
work with or like what annoys you
minefield.
about a work environment or something.
Mm,
So and I think that was a good question because I think what the person was trying to get at was like, what is it like to work with you in an office? Like, what's going to annoy
yeah.
you? And so I responded with, I don't like it when I'm in the company of other people who aren't accepting of others. We all come from different walks of
Yeah.
life, so who are judgmental. That was what came up to me. Um, I think now that I'm thinking about it right now, I think something else that annoys me is just
What I should have said.
or I don't know if it's what I should have said, but like, yeah. But I think it's like when people come to work and we all come to work in bad moods and things like that, but when people kind
Mm,
of let it sort of stick around for a little too long and it kind of
yeah.
makes them unapproachable and it kind of just makes it more uncomfortable for everybody else around them. I
Hmm.
don't like that. Because I think we were talking before, and you said that since you were a Marine, you're used to having a lot of uncomfortable conversations. So am I. I worked in healthcare, and even though I was a speech pathologist, and you might
Yeah.
not think that I had a lot of uncomfortable conversations, I certainly did. So I can have, but I also know how to compartmentalize things so that I can,
Hmm.
come into work and do my job and get things done.
Yeah. No, those sound like great answers. And that,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I've heard that one before. That would definitely be a tricky one. There are a whole
Yeah.
lot of wrong answers you could give to that question. That's for sure.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well done. Is that one still ongoing or is that
Yeah, so that I had my first round last week. I have a second round tomorrow.
okay? Cool.
Yes.
Well, obviously the vibes were good because they wanted
Yeah.
you to come back. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good indication. You're moving down the funnel.
Yes.
Um, so obviously you're doing primarily a targeted approach. So you talked
Yeah.
about you've got a very refined AI protocol that's helping you to target resumes. Are you mixing that with any kind of volume approach? Do you do do you have any kind of numeric targets for how many applications you want to do in a given time frame?
I suppose, but I think it's maybe the opposite. It's not that I'm trying to apply to as many as possible. I
Hmm.
try not to do that because I feel like if I were to apply to 20 in one day, I mean, how tailored am I really getting? At that point, I'm just, you know, making it rain with resumes. Like it's just that's not gonna really I don't think that's gonna work. Like
Yeah.
that's just what it makes
No.
me think of. So I think usually one per day is, I mean, that's my goal. I've done
If you're
it,
going to do one per day, you better make it a good one.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I do more, I mean, three is really pushing it. I've done three in one day before, and
Okay.
I was exhausted because, like I said, I take a very tailored approach. I'm very thoughtful in how I put together all of my resume. So it's not something that I just do in 20 minutes. Um, so
Which
yeah,
chat GPT model are you using?
um, they just changed to five. Before I was using four, I
Hmm.
think. I know that 4.5 was available, but it was very limited in how many times you could use it.
Yeah.
So now I'm using five. I don't know, it's been good, but it's also been a little slow. But
It
yeah,
definitely thinks a lot harder.
yeah.
I finally used 5 Pro for the first time today,
Oh,
and it scared me because I was like, "Oh, they don't need me anymore. This thing
oh wow.
can do my job. Like if they want to keep paying me to operate
Yeah.
I know you're limited on the amount of times you can go to that, but man,
Yeah.
it took like 7 minutes to bring me an answer, but boy, was it an answer. Uh,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Is Pro, because I am using a paid version, but I know that there's different tiers. So I'm using the paid version
I'm
right.
on the lowest paid tier on my
Y-
personal.
Okay,
This
okay.
was on my work
Oh,
account, which I think they're the same capability level. I think the enterprise is still
oh, okay.
the lowest. At least I
Okay.
haven't seen any difference. At the end of the day, when I switch over to mine, I still have the same set of tools. But yeah, that Five Pro's a doozy.
Yeah.
Yep. Um, yeah, awesome. So lessons learned. Now it's only been a month,
Yeah.
but I would imagine you have a pretty tight turn on applying lessons learned.
Yep.
So have you changed things? Has your approach been tweaked in the ones of weeks that you've been at it?
Oh my gosh, I'm constantly updating my AI model or the chat GPT prompt. I'm constantly
Yeah.
updating that. Um, I I think I think the other thing that I think about a lot is just how I'm sort of telling my story on LinkedIn. And I think that's something I've been thinking about for a while, but I just
Yeah.
haven't really been able to figure out how to do it or what I want to do. And then I just thought like I'm overthinking it. And I just need to do I mean, I need to just kind of show, I guess what I'm trying to do on LinkedIn is just show people what I know and show
Hmm.
and teach people what I know. I really like to do that. And I think I like making content on LinkedIn, so I do put out a lot of that. And so I think the things that I really enjoy making content about is I like making content about dashboards because I make a lot of dashboards. I've also been doing content about SQL. I think that really helps solidify my understanding of that. And then I've also started to put out new content about medical jargon because I'm in a group chat with some former colleagues, and someone was saying that they're interested in applying for jobs that require medical knowledge, but they don't know a lot of it, or maybe they're not familiar
Hmm.
with the terms. So I thought like, well, I don't know if other people care about it, but maybe I'll put that out and that could maybe differentiate me from other
Yeah.
people. So I am trying to do that. I'm trying, and then I also try to also tell my story of just my story of being a speech pathologist before and now a data analyst. And I think before I was almost trying to downplay that part of me and sort of pretend like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was never a speech pathologist, and and try to downplay the fact that I really wasn't like in a very highly technical background. But now I'm like, I just need to be myself.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to approach that is to just kind of own that and then just be confident about showing that to others. Because if I'm not, then I think it can give people the wrong impression, or people might think that I'm not as confident as I could be and things like that. So I think that's just something that I'm trying to do. So yeah, I think that I guess overall a lesson that I've learned is just making sure that I tell my story or tell people about myself before other people can tell that story for me or make assumptions. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you're tapping into some themes here, and I love the fact that you connected this to content as well. But I'd love to hear you talk about confidence because you hit that word a couple of times there.
Yeah.
And we were talking pre-show about confidence and imposter syndrome, and I feel like it's really important. You've got experience, both, extensive experience professionally, but a couple of good jobs under your belt as a data analyst.
Yes.
And I feel like there's an attitude out there that imposter syndrome is only for the rookies. And
Mm.
it's, once you get that first job, you're good and you're in the Cool It Club.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to hear you talk about it. And I'd love to hear you kind of expand on that. Like
Yeah.
how has your level of confidence changed? Has it gotten better or worse in this latest phase of your career? And what do you think you can teach me? This is like a three-part question. So I'll
Sure.
wind you up and let you go. But
Sure. Sure.
yeah, talk about confidence. Go.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, struggling with confidence is not something that I've only struggled with as a data analyst. I also struggled with it considerably in my previous career too. So leaving speech pathology did not mean I left that problem behind. And I did speech pathology for 14 years, and I still felt imposter syndrome throughout my career. I think what I've learned is that the more you learn, the more you know about something, the more you realize, the less you know. Um, and I think in my first career, that was something that I didn't know how to really respond to, other than I would just keep trying to learn more and more and more because I thought, well, I guess I just don't know everything yet. So I just have to go learn everything and then I'll know it all and then I won't feel underconfident. That didn't work. So now I'm in this new career, and data moves. I don't. It moves so fast because technology develops so quickly, and there's just no way that I could learn everything. Even just about one tool, I just don't think that it's possible. And so I think now the approach I'm taking is just acceptance of where I'm at and acceptance of not knowing everything right now, but still also working to learn more. Um, I think that's something that is a big thing that I'll learn. I think even with confidence, it was almost like accepting myself with what I was bringing to the table into this new field, accepting, accepting kind of what my so-called past was in my previous career, and then
Mm.
accepting, yeah, just that I don't know everything right now and accepting that I'm new. And then I think as I continue on in this new career field that I've sort of chosen for myself, I am going to learn that there's still a lot more that I don't know. And I think it's something that I just have to accept. So I think that's how I'm approaching it in terms of dealing with imposter syndrome, is sort of like accepting the fact that it's probably going to be there for a long time or for a while. And I can imagine that for some people that can feel daunting.
Mm.
Um, and again, for me, I think I'm just so used to, having uncomfortable conversations and dealing with uncomfortable feelings that it doesn't really, that actually doesn't phase me to feel uncomfortable. But,
Mm.
um, I think that it's almost like a practice. Like, they say meditation is a practice. I think acceptance is a practice. And if you can learn
Yeah.
to accept that imposter syndrome, I think that can at least help you cope with what you're feeling.
Would you say you're comfortable being uncomfortable now? Is this something that, because it is something you can get used to?
Yeah, I think I'm more comfortable being uncomfortable in this,
Okay.
um, yeah, especially in this new field. I think initially that it was really scary because I think I was always trying to convince people that I wasn't different, or that I didn't come from this really different background. And I just sort of realized, I think maybe this year, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can also just look at my LinkedIn profile and see that. So I don't know what I think I'm hiding from people, but yeah, I think that is something that I've learned to do, because otherwise it's just exhausting trying to just almost pretend to be someone you're not, or hide or whatever.
Yeah. And it's interesting too because it's more than just, well, I have a background in healthcare data, so I can go seek out healthcare data jobs. That is
Right.
part of it. Each domain has its own language, especially healthcare.
Yeah.
So it can be quite difficult. I personally got shot down for a couple of healthcare data jobs early on because they said, "Hey, you don't have a background in the domain." But it's more than that. I mean, it's an attitude. And so I think that's fascinating that you had that much experience in healthcare, in speech pathology, and still there was a feeling of, hey, I don't know enough yet. I haven't mastered this, that, there's some sort of binary outcome. I'm going to be a black belt in speech pathology someday, and then I'll
Yeah.
be done learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think, I was almost comparing myself to everyone's highlight reel. I'll see
Mm,
other people who I might follow on social media who are in speech pathology, or just other coworkers that I've had who are just really specialized in a specific thing, and they're just incredible. They just are just so amazing at what they do. And I don't know if they're dealing with some kind of imposter syndrome themselves, but I'm comparing this underconfident version of myself to their professional persona that they're showing to the world, not who
yeah.
maybe they really are on the inside, if assuming it's different. But um So I think maybe that comparison I was making was just, it was almost unfair or unrealistic. And then the thing about speech pathology is that you can go in so many different directions with speech pathology. And you say like, oh, you sound unfocused. I guess I kind of was in my previous career because I just like to learn everything and I just want to do everything. And I liked having that variety. Um, and I think I did okay, but I mean, it's exhausting trying to learn everything and then trying to be really
Yeah.
good.
Very early on, I think when I was still in the Marine Corps, somebody hit me with the phrase, and I'd never heard this before. And they said, don't try and boil the ocean of data science. I have heard that phrase probably 100 times since then. It's fairly common. But that one just hit me. It was like, that was one of my aha moments. Like, wow, I've never heard it expressed that way, but that makes a ton of sense. And that made sense to me given my background. And, the longer I spent in the Marine Corps, the more I realized that, hey, I know how to do like three things at most. And there's 100 other things that I'll never understand. And so, how interesting that, think of healthcare, it's one big monolithic thing. And then,
Right?
okay, speech pathology. Yeah, that's a smaller thing, but when you figure that out, then you're the master of it. But yeah, I think that's part of that Dunning-Kruger curve, and that's the thing where when you get aware, you're really just aware of your lack of awareness and how much there is left to learn. Not only the volume of things to learn, but the number of different topics. And so, we know in data, hey, there's 100 different ways you can take a data career. It's probably more than that. I
Yes.
mean, I'm just
Yeah.
throwing out a big round number there. So not surprising to hear that it was the same way within healthcare, within even speech pathology. You can specialize further from that, just like you can in anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I've actually never heard that term before. It's don't what was it? A don't boil
Boil
the
the ocean.
okay.
Yeah. Don't try to boil the ocean of data.
Does that
Yeah.
mean like
I've
trying to boil it down to something simpler?
No, it means you're trying to do something that's so monumental. It's like, let me
Oh,
master all of the data things. Like, nah, you're never going to do that. You've got to
yeah.
pick something. So yeah, it, I see people with less experience generally in the field will come in and say, even if they're smart enough to focus down to just data,
Hmm.
one of the biggest problems that I have with people is getting them to commit to a domain.
Okay.
And they'll say, "Oh, I just love all of it. I just have a passion for data." That's the phrase where like I clench up a little bit and like, I get it and I feel you, but please don't say that because that means you're going down a very bad road of boiling the ocean and trying to be all things to all people. And in a
Yeah.
job search, that's just toxic because then
Yeah.
you can't focus on pivoting a couple of base resumes to specific jobs. Now you've got a financial analyst resume and you've got a healthcare informatics resume and you've got a manufacturing analyst. It's like
Yep.
you're you're toast. You can't
Yeah.
possibly convey to any, if you're lucky enough to get an interview, you can't possibly go in there and convey to them that you're committed to that domain or that you have any expertise there. You have desire, you have willingness to learn. Okay, I mean those are good things to have,
Yeah.
but most people are looking for a sure thing.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I sort of realized recently. I think, in the beginning of this month that I've, have been looking for work, I think I was being more broad. And then I was just like, the job market is too competitive for anyone to consider me for, I mean, I I don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but it's like for anyone to really consider me for like some really advanced financial, business
Yeah,
intelligence position. I don't have that experience. And so I had to kind of accept like what makes the most sense for me right now? What
yep,
can I prove? And so that's why I'm, focused on healthcare and then also that's very specific niche understanding of call center data too.
awesome. Well, Samantha, this is the part where I usually ask, and I totally ripped this off from oh, the name escapes me now. It's my favorite podcast. Um, I'll have to edit out this long pause here. Dang it. I was just on the show too. Anyway,
Cool.
this other podcast is really awesome and name escapes me right now because it's been a long day. They usually ask, do you have anything now that you want to pitch? Do you have anything that you care about? I sometimes ask, hey, have you read a good book lately that you like to recommend? Do you have a recommendation for the listeners of the podcast, all 30 of them or
Ooh.
however many we have now?
Oh my gosh, I am drawing a blank. Can I recommend myself? I don't know, or should I recommend something else?
Absolutely. Show's
Okay.
about you.
Okay. I kind of revamped my GitHub recently
Looking at it
to
right now. Looks very impressive.
yes. Yeah, and so yeah, I will say that I learned that particular format from Will Sutton. He
Okay.
worked for the Information Lab. When I was there, he did a really amazing um
Iron
presentation.
Viz champion, was he not?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. If you look at his GitHub, it's really amazing. And so more
Yeah.
recently, I went back and looked at his GitHub, and then I basically just tried to figure out how he did it because he told us, and I lost the notes that I had from that particular presentation. But um, yeah, so that's something that I did more recently. It just kind of summarizes my experience. It links you to my Tableau public profile, and then just kind of gives you an idea of the domains that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, it definitely I have definitely not souped up my GitHub to this point because yours is much more landing pagey
Yeah,
than most that I see. So yeah, absolutely. If you want a great example, first of all, if you want to connect with Samantha, highly recommend. But yeah, if you want a great example of the things that you can do with your GitHub page, it's free, right? You don't
yes,
have to pay
yes.
for it. Yeah.
No, you
So
don't have to pay. So
highly
that's really
recommend
great.
junior data analysts, especially if you're not working and not getting paid yet. There are many, many places where you can do a portfolio page or a landing page for free. GitHub Pages is one of them. So yeah, don't pay for that stuff until you're getting paid to do it. Um, but yeah, awesome. Connect with Samantha, follow her on GitHub, which I just did, and connect with you on LinkedIn. Prolific content creator. So she talked about a lot of good SQL content, a lot of good props to you for doing niche content. I know that that is an uphill battle. I personally did when I was a marketing analyst, did a lot of marketing analytics content,
Oh, cool.
which was essentially a tree falling in the forest because there are just
Yep.
no marketing
Yeah.
analysts on LinkedIn, or if they are, they don't respond to content. Um, so yeah, absolutely. That is doing niche domain content is a bit of a labor of love, but
Yeah.
definitely great when you can find it. So anybody out there that is a healthcare analyst or wannabe healthcare analyst, Samantha is a must follow. Okay, any parting shots? Appreciate having you on the show.
Um, I'm just really grateful that you've had me on this podcast. It's been a really cool opportunity to just kind of reflect on my journey so far, um and I look forward to, continuing to follow you on LinkedIn and yeah, and what else you put out for your podcast.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming by and joining us, Samantha. Absolutely. If you're looking to hire a healthcare data analyst, give Samantha a connection and a call. And with that, folks, Semper Fidelis, and I'll talk to you later. Friends, thanks for joining me for a great show. If you'd like to hear more, I'll have the guests' contact info in the show notes below. If you'd like to get involved with Data Career Academy and find out more about what we do, please visit my website, themajordata.com. Or you can join my LinkedIn group for exclusive free content and first looks at what I'm working on. With that, Semper Fidelis, and I'll talk to you later.